Hi, in today's episode, I'm going to take you on a very short tour on what to expect when you go to an agency, and I will focus on the core activity which will differentiate you from the rest of the competition. So, let's get started. First of all, you should expect from an agency to make a really thorough research on where you stand on the market, where your product or service, or where you as a specialist in your field of activity really stand apart from your competition, to analyze all the strengths and weaknesses that you have, all the threats and opportunities, and to really set a very clear spot. This is where you are. This is where you are comparing to the others in the field. This is where you can be, and this is what you've got in your baggage, the pluses and the minuses. From this step on, you go to the next step, which is the strategy, the creation of the strategy, where you actually collate and distill all the research that has been done, and you start to create the purpose of the brand, the mission, the story, the key messages, and the positioning. This is the part where I will come back a bit later. And this is also the point where you should expect to have a brief, a creative brief, and the development of the brand strategy, which is extremely inclusive, and it comprises elements of communication and marketing. The next phase is the design of the identity. This is where you should pick up a name after very long and serious discussions, where you analyze the competitors to see if they have similar names in the composition of their brands, or if the name is taken or trademarked. This is where you sketch the basis of the identity, the visual identity of the brand, and where you can head to the next point, which are the touch points, the very tangible things. This is where you already have the brand manual, you have the identity system, and you have the very specific guidelines. The final point is the launching point, which is the most tangible one, and it usually comes after a few months or even a year, depending on the complexity of the project. And the recommended way is to do it firstly internally to your employees, because they will be your biggest brand ambassadors. And you should also explain to them what the brand DNA is, what are the values of the culture of your organization, what is the purpose, what is the mission, so to get everybody on the same boat to head into the same direction. Your employees will always be your best brand ambassadors, and they should be really well educated and nourished within the organization about the mission, the values, and the purpose of the organization is. And after you do the internal launch, you can then go to the market and do the external launch. So this is just the first phase on how to build a brand. What happens after you go on the market and do the launch is a different category, and we'll dig into that a bit deeper, but later on, after we just go through these phases on how to build a brand from scratch. And I will now come back to the strategy, to number two phase, which is the part where you create your differentiation points to stand apart from the rest of the competition, and to really say, hey, this is me as a brand, this is how I stand apart from the competition, and this is my purpose, this is why I exist. So brands are a result of emotional decision making, because when you need a product to solve a problem, you usually make a very rational buying decision. But when you buy a brand, you choose it for totally different reasons. You choose it because the way you relate to that brand, the emotions that you have developed over time, including loyalty, trust. These are the main reasons why you actually buy a brand. And according to these factors, There are different types of positioning, and we're going to the full spectrum from rational to emotional. You can position your brand according to the infrastructure. For example, if you have credit cards, which can be used globally, this is an infrastructure positioning that you can use and you can communicate to your potential customers. Also, if you have emergency car services, mobile services, you can also use infrastructure-led positioning. Also, you can position your company, your brand, according to the products or the services that you provide, and you usually do that using the most authentic and differentiating elements of your product or service, and what's in it for the customer. This is the most important thing, what's in it for them. Also, you can position your brand according to the process, and for example, if you're making bread according to a very old and secret recipe, this is the type of example where you can position your brand by pushing this forward as your unique selling point. Or you can position your company according to the value and the culture of the people within the company. And last but not least, you can position yourself according to the purpose that you have in the world. So why is it that you exist, and what's your mission? This is the point that I would like to remain a bit more and to put a bit more emphasis, because from my opinion it has extremely beneficial, long-lasting benefits, and it can really make you stand apart from the competition from the beginning. But you need to invest in that. You need to have patience, because changing the world is not something that you do overnight, except if there's a revolution. But if you will look at the economic landscape, you will see that more and more companies are adopting this kind of positioning led by purpose. So when you decide to position yourself based on the reason that you exist and your mission, you basically say, hey, I'm more interested in a cause, in changing the world, in solving this specific problem than I am in making profit. Because nowadays the very popular companies are starting to attract more clients and more talent and more credibility in the market by attaching their economic activity to a cause. So we are trying to solve this problem, and hey, you can help us by buying from us. I'm going to give you this example, very simple example that you can take it as a summary from everything that I will say from now on. It's about Tesla. The mission of the Tesla is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable transport, and Elon Musk explains this extremely well. He said that putting in long hours for a corporation is hard. That's why we hate Mondays and can't wait for Fridays, but putting in long hours for a cause is easy. So companies are starting to resemble more and more to causes. We can see a lot of social corporations which have derived from CSR, corporate social responsibilities. We see more and more companies emerging from that field, which are attached to a cause, and everything that they do is related to that cause, like cleaning the oceans, planting trees, saving the planet, basically. And I'm not saying big words. You can take a look at Ecosia, the search engine which plants trees every time you make the search on them. Instead of showing you ads, they plant trees. And also, one of my favorite examples is Patagonia. Patagonia really has a great mission statement, which is direct, urgent, clear. We're in the business to save our home planet. They put this post on Twitter, and yeah, it's extremely refreshing to see that big companies are using this approach, and we're seeing economy transforming into a new type of business. Business models are reshaping themselves according to the needs of the planet, because governments are not taking sufficient action to make a change, real change, a visible change. So the power is in the hands of the customers, and companies have realized that, and they have attached their economic activity to a mission. So we'll take a very quick look at a few examples of companies' mission. Let's see, Nike, who wants to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And if you have a body, you are an athlete. What a beautiful way to put it. Nike is selling shoes and sports equipment, apparel, but look at the mission statement. It's absolutely beautiful. Starbucks wants to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. And Coca-Cola wants to refresh the world to inspire moments of optimism and happiness. And remember, folks, we're just talking about plain water with a flavor. So, the purpose is actually why you exist on the planet. Why do you want to make profit? And as I said before, it's more about more than making profit. It's more than giving value, driving value to shareholders. It's more than making money. You need to have a cause if you want to go big, if you want to conquer the world, if you want to reach 7 billion people. Of course, we are not talking about purpose. If you are repairing shoes in a neighborhood, even though we can get creative there, but if you really want to go big and to be of real impact, not only in people's lives, but on this planet, if you really want to create change and make bigger profits than in the old economy, then you must have a really solid purpose. This is the higher order for being. And the next step is having a vision. It's where you want to get to, a destination of what you want your brand or business to be in the future. And then we get to the mission, which is what you should do to get there. Here we are talking about specific initiatives, tactics centered around product development, operational excellence, go-to-market strategies, or just brand communication. And then you have the values, the how you would like to behave in order to get there. So what is the organizational culture of your company, of your organization? What is your personal culture if you are a personal brand? Or what are the qualities and behaviors it prizes? For instance, do you prize curiosity, inclusivity, diversity of thought, or any other values? To put it in other ways, we are talking here about the traditional 4 P's of marketing, which is product, price, promotion, and placement, to which Philip Kotler, the godfather of marketing, added the 5 P. So it's officially recognized that there are 5 P. Of course, there are other models, the extended 4 Ps, but let's just limit to the 5 Ps. It's extremely important, because it just gives your brand more credibility and a lot of benefits in the long run. Companies are in a real struggle now to find a competitive advantage to stand out from the competition, because customers are not only better educated regarding their economic choices, their transactions, knowing that every transaction that they make can impact the world. Just look at palm oil. So companies are now reshaping their business model in order to adapt, because consumers are now looking not at the product benefits anymore, or the variety and which one stands out from the competition visually or in terms of benefits, price, promotion, or the 4Ps, but in terms of the purpose. So customers are now looking at the purpose of the brand. They're looking at what the brand says, at what the brand does, and what the brand really stands for. And I will show you this beautiful quote from Larry Fink from BlackRock, who says that the public expectations for our company has never been greater, and every company must now not only deliver financial performance but also show how it makes a positive contribution to the society. Without a sense of purpose, no company, either public or private, can achieve its full potential. So, how do we find our purpose? Well, this is a very hard question, even if you're not a company, if you're not a personal brand. Even as a human being, how do you find your purpose? Well, there are ways. There are ways to do that, and there are ways when you're a personal brand or a company to look at what are your strengths, what are you excellent at, what are you very good at, what makes you stand apart from your competition, what are your passions, and maybe look at the intersection of the two. Or if you cannot really define a very clear and specific key point for yourself, a very unique cause, then in case of lack of inspiration, you can take a look at United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, and you have here a lot of causes. You can just pick one, whichever resonates with you most. You can ask your employees, and you will find a lot of information, maybe even have surprises, beautiful surprises that you never thought of, and you can have such precious input from your employees' point of view, and ask them, why do they work for you? Why your company and not another one? How does your company and working for your company bring value into their life? Or you can just ask your customers, in case you already have a company, why do they buy from you? How does your product or service, enrich their life? You can also find extremely valuable input there. Also, you can ask both your clients and your employees what are the causes that they believe in, and what would be the problems that they would like to see solved. And of course, you can give them that opportunity by working in your company and buying from your company. Brands have evolved a lot. Brands are now a co-creation between the company and the customers, and also it's a beautiful process of developing specific to the needs of the market and fighting for the right cause. So how do you activate this cause? First of all, you have to be human. You don't have to think in terms of an economic entity. No, you have to think of the company, of your brand, as a person. What would my brand do if it were a real person? So you shouldn't only focus on product quality or operational excellence or customer experience that is unique. You should also pay attention to the fact that you are addressing real people, and it's real people interacting with real people, and it needs to be a really clear and honest communication between the two parts. So there are new ways to engage with the customers and to involve them in the creation of further products and causes to participate in. You can even involve them to be part of your stakeholder ecosystem. Basically, how can you add more value into their lives? you have to be clear and authentic in regards to your communication, to what you stand for, to your purpose, because customers really sense when you are not being clear or authentic about what you believe in. So you cannot do this purpose thing without really believing in it, and because you will not attract the right people, they will smell you. You have to have values of leadership, of real outspokenness and authenticity, and these values have to cascade from the top of the company to every employee. And as I said before, every employee is your best brand ambassador, and this is what will promote your product or service to your customers, and customers will really feel the passion that the employee has for the culture of the organization and for the cause, of course. So also you can be very creative. You can have, for example, you can create innovative workshops where you can create together with the customers new products, new experiences, new services. You can even engage them in the sales process. Or you can offer them to be part of the company. Why not? I've seen companies which involve their employees to be part of the company by allowing them the chance to participate with shares and to fight together for a great cause. So this ecosystem of stakeholders is now expanding, and it's really beautiful because the new business model has changed and it's evolving, and it's more of a collaboration than just, hey, this is my product, if you like it you buy it, if not, don't worry, there's another one, I'm gonna make a discount. So we are seeing new models evolving. We also have a beautiful framework for these kind of businesses. We have the circular economy, for example, in the European Union, which is a strategy to be implemented as soon as possible with economic incentives for small and big companies to transform the way they do business. I will leave the link in the description to take a very close look at what circular economy means. And this is a kind of economy where everyone is involved, where there is no more waste produced and the planet is being protected and therefore saved. Let's see at different kind of purposes that some business models have adopted. These purposes are based on human values. For example, Coca-Cola is eliciting joy by inspiring moments of happiness. Airbnb is inspiring exploration by empowering creative exploration and open new experiences. Mercedes-Benz is evoking pride by epitomizing a lifetime of achievement. And Dove, yes, Dove, one of my favorites, is impacting society by celebrating every woman's unique beauty. So as you can see, we're talking about a new paradigm, a new business model that is reshaping not only the way we are buying products, but also the way we are impacting the world. Customers have now woken up and realized that every transaction that they made has an impact on the planet. It can be a good one or a bad one. So aligning your mission, your purpose of the company, why you exist as a company, as a brand, as a person, as a specialist in your field to a cause is extremely beneficial, especially in the long run. So you must have patience in the beginning. It's a long process, but it will be rewarding. You will attract your tribe, which is the new term for customers. You will attract people with the same philosophy as yours, who will believe in the same values as you do, and it will be a beneficial exchange, not only of money, but also of core values. we are moving to a purpose-driven economy, driven by brands which are standing out for causes and customers aligning to these causes. And yes, I believe that every business and every customer can make a change, even a very small one transaction at a time. So I'm just going to leave you with a few key points, and yes, may you change the world one transaction at a time.